Hey Doobs, welcome to another fantastic edition of the Final Thought series, where today we are talking about Mortal Shell. Yeah, a nice little surprise here in 2020. Not many of those this year, but this is definitely one of them. Here we are again with another Souls-like adapted, inspired experience from a small group called Crystal Games. Cold Symmetry. I don't know where I got Crystal Games from. Cold Symmetry. This is their first title that they produced along with PlayStat Games, and you can really tell that this title is developed from a very veteran, old school, hardcore, somewhat RPG flavoristic type of experience here that has clear inspirations from Dark Souls and really the genre, the subgenre maybe that we were given to us by From Software. They really created a new type of experience of mystery, building your own character, and really letting the world speak for itself on top of amazing, hard-driven, hard as nails gameplay. And this is a budgeted title. This is currently digital only. There will be getting a physical release of this game in October. It's just to really round out the end of the year releases on the twilight of next gen. But getting ahead of myself here, this is just a true love letter to the give and take gameplay of really learning the world. There's a very mysterious story going on within really learning about the characters or the shells that you're going to be inhabiting in a very abstract way, but it really just combines the good gameplay of discovery. There's a large sense of discovery that I think really makes the Souls-like games successful in a big way, and we've had quite many of these Souls-like games come out recently, including Neo 2 and even a couple of other type games before that are heavily inspired from this very hard gameplay where it seems like you're never going to be able to progress, but if you just take your time, have a little patience, and have a little bit of fun with it, you're gonna eventually overcome beating a really tough foe with its more methodically slow gameplay. And this game really does give it its own twist of having your shell, and you get to upgrade these shells basically through souls. You get tar in this game. There's just different currencies, but it's all the same functions here, where you'll have to level up your shell to give you more moves. And it's not really RPG, it is more of a level up key or level up chart. But it's really cool when you level up your shell. You get to experience and get to know a little bit more of the character, because these shells are a couple different characters within these shells, and they have their own story. And it's I feel it's a very smart way to learn more about the lore. This is a very mystery driven, where you really have to go back and kind of read the item descriptions, and you got to use the items more to get a better understanding and ultimately a better efficacy out of them. The only thing that's just kind of tough as far as items go is really the healing process in this game. You find random melt caps that heal your character, and it almost like this game doesn't really want to promote healing as much as say Dark Souls does with its Estus flasks and having respawn at each campfire. There is that campfire type gameplay where you'll find your checkpoints, and once you get knocked out of your shell, you do have a chance to get back in your shell and regain your health. So I really like the high risk, high reward gameplay. It does feel fair eventually. I did find myself getting really frustrated beginning this title, is I just felt since it is budgeted, you'll have to just kind of adapt to the quirks of a not AAA developed title, where you can really kind of see the difference where From Software has put so much more time and effort to really fine tuning the dodging mechanics, just the overall ebb and flow of the game. You'll kind of notice that here, being a budgeted title, which really only makes it hinders and makes you crave just such a tight experience. But this is a very tight experience and a great first start from yeah, Cold Symmetry. They really just hit the ground running with this title, and it seems, you know, it's very viable that we may get a sequel of this later on, much like we're getting a Lords of the Fallen 2. Some of these surprise titles. We even got a Neo 2, I mean, and it's full DLC here. But getting back to the game, this is just, it just really is a love letter to the first time you play Dark Souls in a new world. And I really do appreciate and value that this game does have somewhat of a Dark Souls look. I know there's a lot of inspiration, but there's a lot that it does itself with telling a brand new story in still a serious way, and learning about the locales and the beautifully are animated and artistically looking locales. There's not many of them in this game. There's only about 3 dungeons with a hub area. This is only going to take you about 10, maybe 15 hours to go through on your first run through. It really does depend on your skill level here, how much you're willing to give and maybe grind and level up for Tar to level up your character and make some instances better. But you're really just going to have to learn and learn the enemy types to know your timing. There is some very cool boss moments, and really that is what drives you in these games, is you eventually learn that you will overcome little by little, learning the movements until you finally secure that victory. And it's really those moments that drive you forward, because you know eventually in your heart that you can do it. It's just going to be really hard for a couple hours before you really kind of get going on this game. I was getting really irritated at first. I just feel like I was kind of getting caught between somewhat budgeted feel of the game, but you really just start to understand it and realize it's actually very easier once you kind of get the dodging and then using your hardening system, which allows you to take one hit free of charge and then continue on your merry way with your animation, which is very cool, and makes for some very cool boss battles and just encounters with maybe somewhat of the basic looking enemies of this game. There's nothing really too stand out-ish as far as some of the enemy designs, although I think the bosses are very cool and some of the mechanics they use there. But really, you just feel this game and its atmosphere, and each of the dungeons do feel very different from one another, and really do just make you excited to kind of see what's next. I love that when a video game makes me feel excited to see what's next. What does the next dungeon look like? What is that next boss gonna challenge me with, and how are you gonna overcome it? And I think there is 4 different shells in this game, and you probably will stick to one once you really know the ebb and the flow and invest all the experience into them. There is no character creation sheet here, or there's no stats. It really is just you and the shells you get, and then you have to find them. So there's a true sense of discovery here, which I think is one of the most addicting parts of a Souls-like experience, is discovery. It doesn't hold your hand, kind of just drops you in this very mystically misty world, and then you kind of just go out and set yourself on the journey. And this channel is all about the journeys. But wow, I really did appreciate this whole tale, where you really have to replay to maybe get more of the story as you're going through it. But the story does still leave you wanting more, especially with the very beautiful voice acting in this game, and it just really kind of builds a dreary tale of soldiers, and something that I think will be remembered in a culty sort of way years down the road with this title, and maybe we'll still get that sequel here. But yeah, the locales, there's the hub world. It's gonna be kind of a grind and kind of really annoying navigating the hub world and kind of knowing how you're getting from A to B. There's no fast travel. It's very difficult in that sense, where at least in somewhere like other titles like Neo and Soul series, there's an easy way to get back to places, where here you really have to have a mental map, and that can be really hard to overcome on top of the hard gameplay, especially when you don't find the right dungeon that's maybe in the right order, because you will, fight some difficulty spikes if you go places you shouldn't really be in, but it's very little direction ultimately, which again kind of comes in hand with the discovery feature. But once you just overcome that and you keep wanting to play, it is worth that experience at the end, and finding that next shell, taking down that next boss, really just hearing the characters talk and mutter the words under their breath, and it's very just exciting to see where it goes. This game isn't very big. If you do have a week to play a nice indie title at a budgeted price, if you're trying to save a couple bucks while still getting a quality experience, this is exactly what you're going to get here, and it does offer a new game slot and a couple other little sidey bits to do around the hub area, and so a couple extra things just to really polish off the experience, have some world building, and it still is an uphill battle the first couple hours getting to know the game and where to go and really just getting your bearings. But it really does just makes you feel like you're playing another Souls experience until whenever we get Elden Ring, or whenever we get any news if that's still a thing. But the mysteriousness of this really does pack a punch, and you'll want to keep playing just to see what the next thing is like. I gotta give this game an 8 out of 10, just all things considered. No microtransactions. Again, it's a budgeted title, so that's into play here, and is always welcomed when the developers and producers appoint it that way. But if you're just looking for a great ride until that next big From Software game, this is definitely it, while still standing on its own as its great Souls-like genre experience. Check it out if you got the time, and until next time, we'll be right back.